Professor, back at it again. I want to go into a lesson. One of my favorite books, The Psychology of Money. And the quote is, be reasonable, not rational. Aim to be reasonable, not rational. So let me give a little background context. So I work at multiple colleges. I teach at colleges on campus. I have a big lecture hall. I teach online, and I also teach in inmate education. I go into the jails, right? Now, when I was pumping out a lot of content on this channel, there was a chapter where some of my schools, some of them were on break. So I had time in my schedule, and I was like, hey, I'm going to come up with the perfect rhythm. I'm going to build the perfect system. Because when you're in school for business, everything is about systems, right? So I say, okay, I'm going to put up 2 YouTube videos, 2 long-term, 2 shorts. I'm going to do this every week until, I go crazy and my whole life changes, XYZ. Now, the one thing I did not take into account is when classes come back in, is this going to be sustainable, right? So rationale is logic. It's basically, if you do this, you will succeed. Now, here's where people get burnout. When they basically take on too much and they feel like, hey, you know what? I'm just not going to succeed. They're not giving themselves grace, right? This is what being reasonable is all about. Being rational is basically like, if I just grind harder and pump all this out, I'm going to make it to where my business needs to go, where my YouTube channel needs to go. I'm going to get to this point if I just do all of this, right? Now, reasonable is things are going to happen that are out of my control. I cannot always put all of my energy into this set schedule. But if I give myself some grace, I develop maybe a slower tempo at times, I will manage my energy a lot better, not go crazy, and get to where I need to be. So I was talking about how everything in business goes off of systems. The problem is that is robotic. Robots go off systems. I'm a human. I'm going to have times where I don't have the energy, where I don't have the bandwidth. I'm already taking on enough in my personal life. I'm grading multiple papers. I might go through a breakup. I might go through a new relationship. I might go through a job loss. Let's say one of the schools says, hey, we don't need you. Let's say my businesses start to tank. Let's say I go to the skate park because I like to skateboard. I fall, get hurt, so I'm not going to be able to be in front of the camera for a little while. So basically, based on all of those things, I can't really keep these systems going how I need to if I'm using the systems as mass produce, right? So what I get to is success is not really built on intensity. It's built on endurance, being able to go the long run. That's why it's a marathon. A marathon is not a bunch of sprints, right? It's not just people sprinting full speed throughout the whole marathon. It is a pace, and it's a reasonable pace, right? So where I see this happen with a lot of my students is I see this with them taking on their college classes and saying, I'm going to take on 20 credits and get a 4.5, and I'm going to knock everything out the park. And it's like, hey, that's really what you're doing is designed for a robot, not a human. Now, what I see with people more than this would be when it comes down to the self-image and the health area, right? So here's something I've done in the past. I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. I'm going to hit the gym 6 times a week. I'm going to cut out all junk food. I'm going to eat super healthy. And then I'm at the store and I'm going to the checkout and I see the Reese's peanut butter cups and it's looking me dead in my eyes and I'm breaking temptation and I start getting excited and I'm like, I'll just get the Reese's, and I eat the Reese's and the guilt settles in. And it's like, wait a minute, I just threw away all of the progress I made, right? Wrong. That is rationale. That's not reasonable, right? Reasonable is, I'm going to work out, be consistent with my workouts. I'm going to eat better, but that doesn't mean I'm never going to have sugar again. I'm never going to have a carb again, right? These are things where I see people go off the edge and just drop off the gym altogether. I feel like in January, everyone gets the new gym membership. Everyone's excited. It's the vibe. Everyone is going full speed. And then as that 3rd week of January hits, people start to slow down and they're like, wait a minute, well, I'll just take this day off. Okay, well, I'll just take this next workout off. Then come around February time, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to start back on a Monday. Then Monday comes. Oh, you know what? Well, I already messed up my workout, so I'm going to start back in a week, right? So this stretches out. Then they finally drop off altogether. Then circle back next January, because by the end of the year or by summertime, they're like, well, I'll go after the summer, I'll go in the fall. Then that hits, then it's like, all right, well, I'll start again in January. So the thing is that people put this unrealistic expectation to be robotic on themselves. And I think we see it in multiple categories. Those are just a few I can name off the top of my head. ultimately, what I would say has helped me is learning, hey, give yourself grace, and you don't have to mass produce because you are not a factory. You're not an assembly line. You are a human. So if you get a chance, read the book, The Psychology of Money. It changed my life. I read it a couple years ago, and I read it once a year. So I hope that this helped, like most of my class sessions, and I will see you next time.